Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and I have the lower part of Louisiana, LSU, and along that I-10 corridor, Tulane, LSU, Southeast, Southwest. So I'll hit probably right at 50 schools this year, whereas in baseball they might hit 50 in a week maybe. It's a lot different, but the baseball scouting is insane.
When would you say like the busiest part of the year is for you? Would it be like pre-draft time, or would it be like during like the combines and everybody's pro days and stuff?
It's in the fall.
fall.
Busy just meaning you're going and going and going every day. You're at a different spot. Like last night, I was at the Georgia Tech massacre of Auckland State. Today I'm here. Tomorrow night I'll be in Chattanooga. Sunday I'll be at Tennessee State game, Alabama State, Tennessee State. Monday I'll be at Middle Tennessee State. Tuesday I'll be at Vanderbilt. You know, so I mean, you keep moving, and so you pack a bag, you unpack the bag, you put the bag in the car, you take the bag out of the car. You know, that's to me the busy part, because you're just constantly moving. You're checking into a hotel, you're checking out of a hotel. It's that kind of deal. Now, as far as the workload goes, it's probably the heaviest workload too, because you're typing reports every night. You know, everything that you do throughout the day, you got to go to your room and type up that night. Just to give you a little background, I know that everybody was watched the movie Draft Day, right? Everybody's probably seen the show Finding Giants on NFL Network, where they had the documentary on the New York Giants scouting staff. Let me tell you about the structure of a scouting day. Is you get to a school generally, especially a big school, let's just use the University of Georgia, for example. You get to a big school like University of Georgia that may have 12 prospects on their list, you know, for the year. You get there at 7 a.m. You watch tape until about 1. So there's at no point have you left a room just like this, you know, one of the meeting rooms, a film room. You may be sitting in there by yourself because you may be the only scout there that day. There may be 10 scouts there that day. You just never know. You never know who you're going to run into. And so you sit in a room and you watch tape till about 1 o'clock usually. And that's whenever the kids start coming around, the players start coming around for the afternoon meetings and all that. So when you get done in the meeting room, obviously they take over the meeting rooms. So then you leave the meeting room and you start looking for other sources to interview, which we talk to the coaches, the position coaches, we talk to the trainers, we talk to the strength coaches, we talk to the academic people, we talk to any professors that are available, and then we talk to the equipment managers, if you know, if you can get to them, if you have a relationship with some of those guys. Every person is a source, and every person's interaction with somebody is different. You know, if you might be a respectful guy and you may say hello to the secretary, you may not be. You know, the secretaries may hate you, you know, because they're like, that guy walks by all the time, hat on backwards, and never says anything to me. Just kidding, man. But no, just, you never know what somebody's interaction with is. So you always are looking for perspective that people have. So then, as we go throughout that, while the players are meeting, and then you go to practice at 4. You generally around 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You stay until you get to see everybody move around. We do what we call body typing, which is, you know, describing their frame and build and how developed they are, muscular and all that kind of thing. You stay around for 45 minutes to an hour, however long. Some schools will kick you out after a certain period because they want to be private about what they do in their team period when they're installing the game plan for, you know, Georgia doesn't want me to see what they're doing against Tennessee. So you know, they may ask you to leave at a certain point. Well, the day's not over. Then you get in your car, and let's just say my next stop is South Carolina. Well, now I've got a 3-hour drive to Columbia. So I'm sitting in the car and I got this windshield time at 3-hour drive, and I'm not condoning or not approving of texting and driving, but a lot of times that's when you get caught up on some stuff. You know, you're driving, you know, especially with all the technology now, you know, you could send some text messages vocally or verbally or whatever, and you kind of get caught up on the day's communication. You get to your next spot, you check into the hotel, now it's going on 7 o'clock at night. Well, you haven't eaten dinner, you haven't worked out, you haven't even eaten lunch yet. A lot of time, most of the time, you have packed fruit, banana, beef jerky, peanuts, whatever. You generally haven't even eaten lunch yet. So you get to the next spot by 7 o'clock. Now you got to eat dinner. If you're going to work out, you got to go, you know, try to get a workout in. Then when you get all that done, you sit down at your desk, say by 8 o'clock, and now you're typing reports. Now all that, those 12 guys that you saw at Georgia that day, now you're having to type all those reports. The character, the background that you gathered, the evaluation of the player based on the games that you viewed, your impressions of how does he fit for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and is he better than player X or is he better than player Y, and how does he fit on our depth chart, and how, you know, can he take over this guy if we were to draft him in the X round and all that. So you're critically thinking, and now you got to prepare for the next day at South Carolina because you got 12 more guys you're going to look at tomorrow. So then, I mean, it's a constant people think that it's an 8 to 5 deal. It's a
Constant.
it's a when you wake up and when you fall asleep deal.
20
And then the next day is just the same thing over again. I won't call it Groundhog Day, because what I do like about it is you see different people every day, you know, and you see different places. And sometimes you can walk into a place that just won a big game, and they you may have just gotten the hell beat out of you on Sunday, but you can go into the University of Texas and they just beat Oklahoma, and you start skipping out of there because you feel so good about how energetic they are. So it's good to have a different perspective every day, because, or vice versa, you may have just won a big game, and you walk into Oklahoma and they just got beat by Texas, then you're like, oh, I'll keep my enthusiasm kind of curbed a little bit. So you have to be respectful of all that dynamic also. But they're long days, and it is not glamorous, and it is not what they show on TV, and it's not all what happens on draft day in that room. The process is a 12 or 11 and a half month process, really. That last 2 weeks is all fun and games. That's all just playing fantasy football, you know. Oh, let's have a mock draft, and oh, let's take this guy, and let's take that guy, and this guy's gonna go to that team, this guy, you don't know how it's gonna fall, but you track it enough that where you hope you have a pretty good idea, but it's kind of just fantasy football until it actually starts. But it's an 11 and a half month process, because we started on this year's class in May. This that we're going into now. So I've already, on a lot of prospects, I've already been through a lot of my bigger schools. Like, I've already been through Georgia, and I've typed in all the character. I've already talked to every source at Georgia that I know, and every source that's available. So I'm just waiting for Georgia to play games now. Like, I already kind of know and I've already watched their junior tape, so I already know what they did last year. We do that in the summer. We kind of get a feel for how they played as juniors, and so now I'm just waiting for them to play games. So.
What about the sophomores that turns into juniors that actually be eligible to get?
Well, there's actually NFL rules about that, so
Yeah,
as long as that tape recorder's on, I'm gonna say that we have no idea about any sophomores whatsoever,
Oh,
or any juniors for that matter. We only scout seniors. There's an NFL rule, there's an eligibility rule to be in the NFL, and you guys remember Maurice Clarett? Are you guys old enough for Clarett? Okay, Maurice Clarett, after 1 year, you know, was ineligible the second year, got suspended from his team, and he wanted to enter the draft after his sophomore season, which would have been his sophomore season, but he never played. So he actually only played 1 year. Well, he sues in court to get it overturned, because our eligibility rule is 3 years have to have passed since your graduating date in high school. So, and then even as a junior, you still have to apply for what we call special permission. You have to fill out a document stating that I renounce the rest of my eligibility. It goes through the commissioner's office. Commissioner Goodell then approves all those guys, and that number has grown exponentially over the years. It used to be about 30 guys total. Now I do 30 guys alone. It's grown that much over the last few years. But you know who the good players are. Let me just say that. When I go to Texas A&M, I know who Johnny Football is running around the field, whether he's a sophomore or a freshman or a senior.
I guess Todd McShay helps.
Well, that's a whole other story. So yeah, McShay. I know Todd. He's a good guy. But yeah, the media can drive the whole other train that we play catch up with sometimes, trying to get on board to try to figure out what they're even talking about. But that's what happens when you got all the coverage of the NFL network. You know, we got our own network, and then ESPN and social media and everything else. So it's changed a lot over the years since I've been in it. I know I sound like an old guy now, right?
Has it made it easier or harder?
Which part?
Like as far as scouting with all the new implements, as far as media and stuff goes, has it made like your job easier?
That question probably could be answered both ways. It could probably both. Because it's easier in the sense that I can get information quicker and more readily available. Like if you go out and have a DUI tonight, I'll know about it, but when the sun comes up the next morning, I'll know about it. 10 years ago, you might not have known about it until 2 or 3 weeks later, or maybe even a couple months later. But if she played here and she went out and got a DUI tonight, we're gonna know about it first thing in the morning. You know, so the information gets to you faster, but I'll use Johnny Football as an example. Sometimes you chase more ghosts because of all the rumors that are thrown out there and urban legends that are thrown out there. You spend a lot of times chasing down things that aren't true. You're like, well, so-and-so said this, or I heard this, or I read this on social media, or somebody tweeted this out, or I saw this picture when he was at this party and it looked like he was doing something and he shouldn't have been doing. And then you spend all your time chasing that down, you know, and then you find out, well, really he was meeting with President Bush, and you know, you'll find out something that's completely the opposite of how it's been implied and how it's been put out into the mass media. So you spend, you know what I mean? So it helps in the sense that I know that she got a DUI last night, but then I'll spend 3 months chasing down some rumor that's not true. Did you guys remember probably about 2 or 3 months ago when Justin Blackman got suspended again? And they talked about a scout who went and sat at a bar at Oklahoma, at Stillwater. You guys remember that story? Mark Dominic mentioned it on ESPN.
I didn't know the full, so I just know he got
said that they sent a scout into a bar and he sat there to see if that guy came into the bar every night, Justin Blackman. That scout was me. Yeah, the story got a little blown out of proportion, but just to give you an example, Justin Blackman, obviously, Justin had some demons he was fighting when he was coming out, and I'd kind of gotten wind of it through some sources that there was, that there could be a problem there. So we'd interviewed him at the combine. He'd given us some information about some places he liked to go. So my boss sends me back out to Stillwater, and he goes, I want you to go to that place and see what you find out. So I go there one night. I'm sitting there. He did walk in. I saw him, partaking in, the activities. And so, but it wasn't a deal where I sat at a bar for 8 hours a day for 6 days, 7 days on end, but you just want to get clarity on some things. And that, again, that was one of those, was this a rumor or is this true? Which one was it? It's like sometimes you have to chase those things down, and I'm by no stretch of the imagination, do I know Justin Blackman or anything else, from terms of what he deals with or what he's been dealing with in his personal life. But I'm just saying from my perspective, what I saw, and it was maybe made my bosses feel better about either taking him or not taking him. I don't know. I just report back to what I saw. This is what I personally,
Did you have to dress in disguise?
Well, I didn't have a buck shirt on. No, I was dressed more like you. I didn't put on an Oklahoma State t-shirt or anything. I just kind of casually walked in there. I knew a couple people on the staff there, so we kind of casually went in there together, and so that was it. But the point I tell that to just say that again, that the job's never done. There is no 9 to 5, and you're sitting at a public establishment at night trying to figure out if this person frequents this place too often, for your liking, and so you're just trying to confirm or whatever, some sort of, rumor, and that comes from, again, what you're talking about. It's like sometimes it's great to get information quickly, but you also can get too much information that you're fighting fires constantly. You're putting out fires that some are big, some are small, all that type of thing.
What's the hardest thing to find out about a player?
The hardest thing is there are a lot of privacy laws technically that protect a student's just as much your rights as a player's rights. Like if you had a learning disability, there's privacy laws to where if this university knows that you have a learning disability, it's documented, through the American Disabilities Act. If they release that, the university could get in trouble, or that you actually are protected. So there's sometimes, there are people that, and same thing goes for injuries, same thing goes for learning issues, same thing goes for, they obviously drug test, and at y'all's level, or at the NCAA level, they drug test for performance enhancing drugs as well as schools test for marijuana and other recreational drugs. So some schools are open with it and forthright with it because it comes out eventually anyway, because every kid has to sign a FBI release form to do a background check anyway. It's just a matter if it comes out in March or if it comes out in August. We get the information anyway. It's just a matter of if the schools are willing to share the information or not, if that makes sense. So getting that type of information that's protected by privacy laws is a little bit more difficult. But we do still get it because they all sign a release form because they want to be in the NFL. You don't have to sign it, but if the GM can't make a informed decision about you, he may just pass over you and go to the next player. So you don't have to sign it, but
it hurts your chances.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody wants to sign it because you want to play. It's no different than you getting a job. You submit to a drug test because you want the job. You don't have to, but they're probably just going to move on to the next applicant. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any female scouts?
Unfortunately, there's not. Yeah. We have There's several teams that have females that are actually more like operations coordinators, because obviously you guys are really good at organizing. So there are several teams that do have females, and that some teams say admin assistant, but a lot of them have titles like director of scouting operations, scouting administration.
Because obviously they can't play football.
Right. They don't necessarily do the evaluation, but they're as big a part of the process as some of the scouts are in some regard.
I'm sure there's a female coach like that. And
It's funny you ask that, because it probably, when I was in football operations at Tennessee in 98, 99, somewhere in there were no females that were even like directors of football operations. Now there's just about one at every school, because of how the NCAA, and especially the Power Five, has expanded all these roles for recruiting and player personnel and stuff. There's generally one just about at every school, but 15, 17 years ago, the only one was Pat Loxton at University of Nebraska, who was like Tom Osborne's original admin assistant, and he had kind of promoted her through the years, and she'd gotten all the way up to like senior associate AD and SWA, and was like over football. And that was like unheard of back, just 17 years ago. But now those opportunities have opened up more to those roles, especially at the college level. There's way more of those jobs at the college level now, especially at the Power Five, the big schools that have this influx of money all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't have enough money to pay me over $17,000 after winning the national championship, but now all these people, some of those jobs pay $120,000. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't get a ham sandwich. But no, there are no female scouts out on the road that do evaluations. Not that you couldn't do that. You could always be the first. There's first female coach in camp at the Cardinals. First female,
referee.
official, yeah.
I got one more question. This is like not really off topic, but who's the hottest prospect out right now? As far as like who's top of the big board?
Oh, man, I
Like,
can't answer that. Come
can't
on.
answer that. Not, but in general for NFL, like who's everybody
Oh, wow.
talking about? No idea.
It's too early right now.
Too early.
McShay will let us know. Todd will let us know.
ESPN was already doing their big board stuff on the
Yeah.
bottom line last night for the games.
Oh, they updates constantly. Yeah. We actually, it's and those guys have a job to do too, just like we do, and so their job is to always get out in front of that, and because people consume that, they want to know, and they have that question just like you have it, and so they get out in front of that, and some of it's pretty good. It's like, really, I get it. It's a different job, but they have a job to do too. So they're good guys, and they do a good job of what their producers and what their directors want them to do. So.
It's like they only do like the class of 2017 and stuff like that.
Oh, I know. I don't even know how you project that far out.
All right, when scouting, do you have to take into account like your team scheme as far as that goes? Is just general, like
You, we try to write reports both ways. You try to write reports and say, this is where the guy probably is going to be in the NFL, like he's going to play this position in this scheme. But then you get scheme specific and talk about how does he fit in your scheme. Yeah. Just using one of our players, for example, like Gerald McCoy. You guys know Gerald Levant? Yeah, Gerald McCoy. The debate was, Sue or McCoy. Sue or McCoy, which defensive tackle was better when they came out? Well, Sue was a good player, so was Gerald, but they fit differently. You could say this player may go higher in the draft, but this player fits us better. So it really is kind of scheme specific at the end of the day. You could still acknowledge what their skill set is and what they may do in the NFL, but one player may be more skill specific or more scheme specific.
Both Pro Bowls too.
What's that?
I said they are both Pro Bowls too.
Yeah, they're both good players. That's why they keep getting paid a lot more money than me. I actually scouted Gerald and did a bunch of research and stuff on him, and they sent me into his high school, his junior high. I even went back to interview those people he worked for in high school, and it was kind of funny when he made his first Pro Bowl. They actually gave me a signed jersey. He signed a jersey to me, and they framed it for me. And I've got it hanging on the wall at home. I'm like, how about a bonus? I don't want a Pro Bowl jersey. How about then he signs a big contract last year, and he thanks me in the press conference. I'm like, this is doing me no good. Like, I can't get a new boat or I can't buy a condo with a jersey and a thank you in the press conference.
When would you use the boat anyway? Come on now.
In those 3 months that I have on.
That's true.
Between the end of the draft and training camp start.
I got a question. Like, if you find out if the Falcons and New Orleans and Carolina is evaluating this play like a certain player, and they think, you know.